It's week 2 and the fall sports season is in full swing. We have it all on this week's episode of Sports Paws. Drought on the pitch, Eric DaCosta and his men's soccer team remain goalless this season. Would the streak continue?
And the women's soccer team would try to continue a great start to its season. How would they fare against Maine this past weekend?
They were oh so close to a national championship last season, and with the 2015 season underway, women's rugby coach Becky Carlson stops by to discuss the state of her team.
After a 9,086-mile plane ride and plenty of jet lag, New Zealand native and Quinnipiac soccer player Erik Panzer sits down on this week's segment of Meet the Bobcat.
Hello and welcome to Sports Paws. I'm Andrew Badillo.
It's been a week of firsts, Andrew. It's my first time at the anchor desk, and men's soccer traveled to URI this weekend to pick up its first win of the season.
Yes, they did, Kyle. Let's get right to the highlight. Men's soccer taking on URI from the URI Soccer Complex. Quinnipiac looking for their first win of the season. Goalie Tristan Henry warming up before the game. He takes over for Borja Angoita, one of the greatest players to ever come through Quinnipiac. We're going to move along right into the first half. URI pushing the tempo, crosses it into the middle. Tristan Henry makes a great save. Tobias cleans up the rest of the mess, sends it out to midfield. URI with some nice passing in the box here. They'll be called offsides, but Tristan Henry says, don't mind if I do anyway. More URI off a set piece here. It's going to be deflected on goal, but Henry makes a nice reflex save there. The game remains scoreless. Another URI opportunity upcoming here. A cross into the middle. Oscar Evans is going to head it out of danger here. As we move along to the second half, it's tied 1-1 at this point. Actually, Quinnipiac with a 1-0 lead. And no longer the game's going to be tied. Dante Lamb off a nice through ball up the middle. It's going to score there, right past Tristan Henry. And URI would take the lead on this goal. Michael Ellis with a failed clear. It's going to go right past Tristan Henry. Stevenson Hockey can't clear the ball. URI takes a 2-1 lead. And Quinnipiac would try to make a push at the end here. Tanner Job can't get his foot on that one. The goalie would eventually try to make a clear there. However, Oscar Evans is going to send it right back into the box. A mad scramble. The ball's going to come to Stevenson Hockey, but he shanks it wide, and that is how the game would end for Quinnipiac. They lose 2-1. Here's Rashawn Daly postgame.
How tough is it without, obviously, James Doig, who's been one of the perennial players for this midfield, and James Greco out with the red card? How hard was it for you guys to generate offense through the midfield up to the front line on your forwards?
It was tough with both of them out, but we have a full team. Guys off the bench came in and stepped up to the play, and that's why we have 26 players. Everybody's ready to play when it's their time.
After making the trip to URI this Saturday, my partner Andrew Badillo and our sports director Maury Hirsch-Gordon had the post-game breakdown.
Quinnipiac men's soccer drops its third game of the season. They fall to 0-3-1 overall. Here in Kingston, Rhode Island, Maury Hirsch-Gordon alongside Andrew Badillo, where the Quinnipiac men's soccer team falls to host University of Rhode Island 2-1. Andrew, Quinnipiac came out on top early 1-0 after Rashawn Daly. Nice goal.
Oh, yeah, Maury, true freshman, netting his first goal of the season and Quinnipiac's first goal of the season as well. I was really impressed with the way he took the ball and went right at the Rhode Island players tonight. In the beginning of the game, Quinnipiac's offense was a little stagnant. They were going more east and west rather than north and south, attacking the Rhode Island players. But Daly really took into effect. He had a nice through ball from Matt Taylor, and he netted it right past the Rhode Island goalie. It was a really nice goal.
Now, aside from the goal, not many other bright spots for Quinnipiac throughout the night. They missed two key players in the midfield, James Doig and James Greco.
And yeah, I mean, Greco and Doig, two perennial players in that midfield for a Quinnipiac team that almost made the MAC championship game last season. Greco missing the game with a red card, and Doig still injured. I mean, Maury, it's very tough for you to generate offense no matter how good your forwards are when you don't have a solid midfield that can basically dictate the pace of play, get the ball from the D-men, and transfer it up to the forwards. I mean, it worked. Taylor and Daly had a nice connection, but really, other than that, there was nothing much going on.
With the facilitators out in Greco and Doig, the ball, before it was even getting to the midfield, the defense had a problem.
Oh, yeah, the defense. I was looking all game. Michael Ellis starting for Erik Panzer and Tobias. Tobias has really had to step it up this year. The captain has sort of taken it under his wing, him and Stevenson Hockey, that they're going to have to basically get any ball and try to clear it. And tonight there were severe communication issues in the middle. Michael Ellis on many plays, got bailed out by offside Rhode Island players, but balls were going over his head, in between Esch and Ellis, and it was really hectic all night. Rhode Island was able to capitalize on a few goals where Ellis was victimized really bad on one of them, and it seemed like a tough night for Ellis, but I give him the benefit of the doubt. He is young. It's a new team, a back line that has spent time with each other. He gets put into it. I would give him a few more games to get used to playing with those players, but tonight he just seemed like a fish out of water.
At times, you were calling the Quinnipiac defense Swiss cheese even. Ellis just playing in his fourth career game for the Bobcats. Erik Panzer, as you mentioned, was on the sideline tonight. His first 3 years, he won 3 consecutive conference regular season championships. And without Panzer, it clearly has been tough on the back line for the Bobcats. Andrew, anything else?
No more. I think that's it. Quinnipiac, Eric DeCosta said it after the game that, these games are tough losses, but in the end, he just wants to see his team get on the same page, really take things moving forward. Dolly took that first step tonight. It seemed that the offense at the end of the game, they had a few really great chances, but for them, it just didn't work out. Moving forward to next game and on to conference play in the future.
Quinnipiac falls to 0-3-1 on the season as they look to win their first game of the year. For Michael Bonavita and Andrew Badillo, I'm Maury Hirsch-Gordon.
When we come back on Sports Paws, Dave Clark and his revamped women's soccer team look to stay hot against the Maine Black Bears.
And later, Q30 Sports' Paul Caracciolo sits down with men's soccer player Erik Panzer on our new segment of the show, Meet the Bobcats. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss it.
Welcome to A Sheer Sensation, North Haven's premier cosmetology service, located at 140 Washington Avenue, minutes from Hamden. We offer an array of services, from basic cuts and colors to lash extensions and formaldehyde-free keratin treatments. We also provide hair chalk and styling for men. When you spend $60, your Q card will get you 10% off. Call us at 203-239-6477 to make your next appointment at A Sheer Sensation.
That was then, this is now. Don't be just a number.
Hello, welcome to Chameleon.
At Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, it's all about what makes you feel beautiful. Their professional team is dedicated to helping you reach your customized beauty goals from your head to your toes. Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, where it's all about what makes you feel beautiful.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike's sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken and cheese for just over $4. Giant cheesesteak subs and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. The women's soccer team stepped on the home pitch this weekend where they squared off against Maine. So let's go to the tape. The Bobcats were looking to add another W to their 3-1 record and already surpassed last year's total wins. They would hit the ground running in this one only a minute and a half into the first half. Freshman Nadya Gill crosses it to Jess Fontaine, who scores the first goal of the game, putting Quinnipiac up 1-0. Only 4 minutes later, Jess scores her first goal of her career, putting Quinnipiac up 2-0. With about 17 minutes left in the half, Jess Fontaine isn't done yet. She scores her second goal of the game off of a free kick pass from Madison Barowick. Quinnipiac is up 3-0 right here. Now, Maine's Vivian Ball, with 3 minutes left in the half, shoots an absolute firecracker over the Quinnipiac goaltender's head, and Maine would be down 3-1. Would they get any momentum? Just about as much as running into a brick wall. Quinnipiac's defense is too strong. Maine would end up losing the game 3-1. Quinnipiac improves to a 4-1 record this season. The past 2 seasons have been a challenge for the women's soccer team, but a fast start to the 2015 season has brought life to head coach Dave Clark's squad. Just ask Nadya, Gill, and Jess Fontaine. Q30's MJ Baird had the chance to sit down with them.
The Quinnipiac women's soccer team is out to a hot start. Only 5 games into the season, they have 4 wins, more than they had in the entire 2014 season. Q30 Sports had the opportunity to sit down with head coach Dave Clark to talk about their success thus far.
I've had the same 3 numbers written down from the October 29th last year. It's on my phone, it's on my desk, and it's 271, and that's, I don't want to have those same 3 numbers down for the next 12 months because it's not acceptable for everything that we do and the players that we have and the standards that we have here. So that's what we're looking to rectify.
16-year-old freshman Canadian national standout Nadya Gill is one of the key reasons why the team is off to such a hot start.
Dave knows some of my coaches back home, and when he talks about the program, just wanting to improve it, it sounded like an amazing opportunity to be able to step up as a freshman, and there's 13 of us, so we all hold each other up, and we're all making a difference on the team.
Players like Gill have been the difference in allowing junior Jess Fontaine to play her game and facilitate the ball to her forwards.
Now that she's got a player like Nadya, Jess Gargan, Jess Caracciolo, the Kelly Carusos who've been playing well, Amanda Barocca, all of a sudden she doesn't have to carry the team on her own shoulders, and she's done that a little bit the last 2 years, and she's got recognition, but she's capable of a lot more, and hopefully this year and next year she'll prove it.
Yeah, I look forward to helping the team improve on our previous MAC record. We want to obviously be towards the top of the MAC, help the forwards out in scoring some goals, like assisting Nadya and the other forwards, but just creating more opportunities to score goals.
Coach Clark is optimistic about the bright start to the season. However, he stresses that they are still a young and developing team and don't want to get ahead of themselves.
I mean, every coach can turn around and say, listen, the goal is to win a MAC, but I also have to be cognizant of the fact that it's a young team that still has to get rid of the expectations of last season or the sort of weight, the dead weight that's on their shoulders. I mean, it's still early days. It's still September. If I'm still able to answer the same question in October, November, then we know we've got a good foundation to build on.
MJ Baird, Q30 Sports.
One reason the Bobcats have been off to a great start is from the terrific play of freshman Jess Gargan, who just won MAC Women's Soccer Rookie of the Week. Gargan has 2 assists on the season and scored the first goal of her career against Maine, which ended up being the game winner. With this award, Quinnipiac has seen at least 1 player earn MAC Weekly awards in each of the first 3 weeks of the season. Prior to now, this feat had not been done since 2008. Now we're going to welcome in our Q30 Sports analyst, Gabby Riggi, for a little segment of Buy or Sell. Gabby, how are you doing?
Doing really good, Andrew. How are you guys?
Great. All right, so why don't we jump right in? We're going to go right into men's soccer. All right, Gabby, the men's soccer team just hasn't gotten it done yet this year. They haven't scored. Do you buy or sell this team competing come conference play?
I'm going to say sell. I think one of the biggest issues so far has been injuries. While there's still great coaching with DeCosta, who's had a very long tenure here at Quinnipiac, I think it's just been a lot of problems with guys like James Doig not having the opportunity. He was injured. A lot of these guys that were young coming in as the secondary, you think you're going to learn the system a little bit better, and it turns out that they're really stuck now that their main players have injuries. They're kind of at a loss. These guys that are supposed to be learning the system are now the ones leading the system. So I think come conference time, they're definitely a team that can still be good. You have great goaltending there, solid D on the back with guys like Toby Esch. But I mean, I can't really see it happening. There's too many guys having to fill in and plug in roles that they're not exactly comfortable with in a system they're not totally familiar with yet. So I think that might hurt them come conference playoff time.
Now, Gabby, what about the women's soccer team? They've been off to a hot start, and Nadya Gill and Jess Fontaine are both playing at a high level. Do you think they can keep it up?
Absolutely. Buy this women's soccer team. Dave Clark has been an excellent coach. I remember meeting him my freshman year. Absolutely just smart man, knows the game really well. He's now got a great crop of freshmen. He took a really big leap of faith, bringing in 13 new players, left the tri-state area a little bit, bringing in people from other countries, taking a little bit of a men's page on that. But it's definitely proven huge dividends. Like we've said with Gargan, like we said with Gill, there are these freshmen who are making huge impacts, game-winning goals, conference weekly awards. They're making huge strides with this team. I think they're going to be successful down the stretch run. They've already won more games than they have last year. They've already scored more goals than they have last year. You know, we set the threshold kind of low for this team. They left last year in 9th place. So by setting it that low, they've already broken through that ceiling. There's no telling what this team can do.
Certainly, Gabby. And now we're going to move along to the rugby team. 2 huge losses in Elena Orlando and Natalie Costco from this team last year that almost made it to the national championship game. They're 1-1 this season. Do you think they have what it takes to get back to the level they were at last year?
I absolutely do. I think it was a little bit more of a risky buy, I would say, on this one, but I still think the rugby team has a lot of those key components that they've really needed game in and game out to be successful. Yeah, they lost Costco going for Rio. Yeah, they lost Elena Orlando, who's now playing professional women's hockey, of all things. But they're still a team that's got the strong backbone. I'm really most excited to see what this team can do against Norwich. They've been a squad in the cadets that have caused a lot of trouble for the Bobcats, but it's been a lot of really tight, really well-played rugby. So I definitely think come September 25th, that's going to be the game I'm going to have my eyes on.
All right, Gabby, and last but not least, the field hockey team. Really rough start for this team, not much going offensively. Last season, they almost made it to the MAC championship game. The year before, they made it all the way to the MAC championship game and won. Do you think that they can get back and have that success of the past 2 seasons this season?
So it's a little bit of a buy or sell for me. I would say sell on this team in their out-of-conference play. I think out-of-conference has been a really bumpy road. I think they've had to make a couple adjustments, but that team is still, again, like a lot of the other teams here, upperclassmen heavy, really solid goaltending, really solid veteran D. I don't see that being the issue. I think, honestly, it's a lot of hard out-of-conference play. I think it's a lot of getting used to someone like Michelle Federico, who stepped back at defense, now has the opportunity to come forward and play the forward position, which she's much more comfortable at. I think that's going to help this team down the stretch run. There's a little bit of gelling, a little bit more offense that's needed, but I mean it at this point, they're a good team through and through, and I think they're a team you've got to buy going into the MAC tournament just from their record these past 2 years.
Thanks for stopping in, Gabby.
Anytime, gentlemen.
All right, well, from New Zealand to Connecticut, men's soccer standout Erik Panzer sits down with Q30 Sports' Paul Caracciolo on this week's segment of Meet the Bobcats.
Now, you're from New Zealand. What was it like making the big switch to America when you first got here?
So I'd visited numerous times before because my mother's originally from here, but living here is completely different to visiting. And so it took a bit of time adapting for sure. And freshman year, there was ups and downs. But having the team around me was great. But yeah, being away from home, certainly a challenge. Different society, different culture, having to balance that and having to balance the load of school and soccer.
Now, you mentioned your teammates. What kind of role and what did they do to really help you adjust to American culture?
My freshman year, we had, I think, about 14 international students. So it was a core group of us that we're all in the same boat, really. So we're all going through the same things, maybe missing home a little bit here or there, missing home-cooked meals, that sort of stuff. But the local guys, their parents were great. They'd always bring food after the games. The local guys really helped us out. And along with having the internationals to lean on, we also had the guys from around here too.
So when you were like freshman, sophomore, when you really, the local guys were helping adjust, what did you do personally to help you cope with not being in New Zealand?
My mum and I set up Skype dates once a week, so that was one way to stay in touch, and we still do that. We still Skype once a week, which really allows us to keep in touch. We can text and stuff, and Dad's busy, so I get a text from him here and there, but I still pay attention to the news back home. I'm always looking on Facebook to seeing what my friends are doing and everything. And I'm not forgetting about New Zealand, but it's just in the back burner because I'm here and now, and I have to focus on what's here and in front of me.
Now, when you were at home, I mean, obviously soccer is a huge international sport. Did you see any kind of changes in the way they played here compared to New Zealand?
Yeah. So back home, most of the coaches are old English style, really, a lot more traditional. Here it's a lot more physical, fitness based, I would put it that way. So it was a different type of style, but I got used to it. It was definitely more competitive because it's guys my age battling it out, whereas back home I'd been playing in senior men's divisions for the past like 3-4 years when I was 16 through 19. So it was a change in that sense, but yeah, it was very different, but having the professional environment that college soccer allows, training 5 days a week, playing all the time, really developed my game, whereas back home was only training twice a week on the field. I was doing other training by myself. So that professional environment certainly allowed me to develop more, and it just was a bit of a difference from back home.
And you're not just a leader on the field either, you're also off the field. How being selected to be an orientation leader, what was, bring me through that. It had to have been a pretty big accomplishment, pretty exciting.
It was a long time coming because I wanted to do it last year, but I couldn't because I went home during that time. And this year it was just an incredible experience, great group of people, and being able to bring my background, my diversity, I could put it that way, into that group of people where it's a lot of organizations and there's a lot of fraternities, sororities, student government, and having the athletic side of it and having an international side of it even was a great experience. I think they benefited from it as well as I did.
When we come back, women's rugby coach Becky Carlson will pay us a visit and talk about her squad and recent success they've had the past few seasons.
And Kyle, the winter sports news was aplenty this week. Assistant captains announced as well as conference schedules released. All that and more coming up after the break.
Welcome to A Sheer Sensation, North Haven's premier cosmetology service, located at 140 Washington Avenue, minutes from Hamden. We offer an array of services from basic cuts and colors to lash extensions and formaldehyde-free keratin treatments. We also provide hair chalk and styling for men. When you spend $60, your Q card will get you 10% off. Call us at 203-239-6477 to make your next appointment at A Sheer Sensation.
That was then, this is now. Don't be just a number.
Hello, welcome to Chameleon.
At Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, it's all about what makes you feel beautiful. Their professional team is dedicated to helping you reach your customized beauty goals from your head to your toes. Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, where it's all about what makes you feel beautiful.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken and cheese for just over $4. Giant cheesesteak subs and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. The women's rugby team looked to stay undefeated Saturday as it took on the Army Black Knights. The Bobcats fell to the Black Knights 29-24. Quinnipiac owned a 24-7 lead with 30 minutes left in the game. However, Army stormed back and scored 22 unanswered points to take the lead and game. The women's rugby team stands at an even 1-1 on the season. Through 6 games, Becca Mann and her field hockey team have been outscored a whopping 19-6. Kyle, 19-6.
That's insane.
Their 1-6 record is indicative of that stat. Quinnipiac squared off against Michigan State and Lafayette this past week and came up empty in both games. The Spartans outlast the Bobcats 3-2. Michelle Federico led Quinnipiac with 2 points, while freshman Selena Reichert scored her first career goal. Quinnipiac would suffer its fourth one-goal loss of the season in its next game against Lafayette. Federico once again led the Bobcats as she tallied the lone goal in the losing effort. Quinnipiac faces off against Maine this upcoming week as it looks to get going offensively.
The women's volleyball team has struggled recently, losing its last 7 games in a row. 7 games, Andrew. The women were swept by Fairleigh Dickinson 3-0 last Wednesday. However, junior Katie Uricki led both teams with an impressive 12 kills. The squad would travel to Massachusetts for the weekend, where they were swept in the UMass Lowell Invitational. Quinnipiac was shut out by Holy Cross, outmatched by San Jose State 3-1, and narrowly beat by UMass Lowell 3-2. The women will travel to New York this week, where they will face Canisius and Niagara.
The men's basketball team released its conference schedule Wednesday morning. Quinnipiac looks to improve its performance in conference play after finishing a mediocre 9-11 in the MAC last season. Quinnipiac travels up to Western New York to tip off conference play against Niagara December 5th and Canisius on December 6th.
The women's hockey team has announced its assistant captains for the 2015-2016 season. Assistant captain Sydney Roosler will be Kristen Tamberg and Emma Woods. Tamberg, a senior defenseman, is coming off a breakout junior campaign in which she recorded a career-high 13 assists. Along her side is junior forward Emma Woods. Woods has been a solid piece to the program for the last 2 years, racking up 49 points and claiming the Nutmeg Classic's Most Outstanding Player Award. The women will start their season October 2nd, where they host Mercyhurst.
Well, Kyle, that'll do it for this week's edition of Sports Paws.
It was a pleasure to be here, Andrew. I couldn't have asked for a better partner in my debut.
Oh, that means a lot, man. Well, for more information on everything that is Quinnipiac Bobcat Sports, check out our website at www.q30television.com.
And be sure to follow us on Twitter at Q30 Sports and Q30 Television.
For Kyle Levasseur, I'm Andrew Badillo. Have a great night.